Hi, and welcome to Epiphanies. I'm Reverend Jessie Brandon, and I am a life cycle celebrant as well as a metaphysical minister. And I have the opportunity to bring my two loves together on Epiphanies, and that is books and people. So why don't you grab a cup of tea or coffee and settle into your favorite chair, and let's see where we go. So the book that we're talking about today is Creative Visualization, and it's by Shakti Gawain. Now, I read this book, probably about 20 years ago, maybe 25, and this is the 40th anniversary edition, so that tells you how long it's been along. It's just a fabulous book. And my guest is Patti Smith, and she'll be joining us in just a moment. So this is, as introduced by Shakti Gawain to more than 7 million readers worldwide, creative visualization is the art of using mental imagery and affirmation to produce positive changes in your life. Gawain's clear writing style and vivid examples make creative visualization easy to read and to apply to your personal needs and wants. I'm just going to see what else. Now, it was on Oprah that I saw it, and I know that Oprah said that she used it in her life. And so I think without further ado, I'm just going to have Patti come on and she can tell you all about it. Patti, please join me. Hi there, how are you doing?
Hello, Jessie. Wonderful to see you.
Wonderful to see you too. Thanks for taking the time.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
So, without further ado, I'm going to ask you to just, make yourself a cup of tea or get some hot water.
Thank
you.
you.
Then I'm going to read your bio, and then we'll go to the book.
Okay, I'll pour.
So, Patti Smith founded Awesome Wealthy Women International in 2012. She is a conscious business and human design coach for women entrepreneurs. She teaches women how to use their unique human design to create wealth through conscious business. And AWWI is proud to be
An official
business sponsor of Plan International's Because I Am a Girl projects, which is absolutely fabulous. I'm sure you've seen the ads. If you haven't, look for them because it's a terrific project. Mm-hmm. So, tell me, why did you pick this book today, and what does it mean to you?
Oh, well, to me, creative visualization was the first of what I consider to be the personal development and spiritually inspired books that I read. It was originally published in 1978, and I think I probably read it somewhere 79, 80 in that area. So almost that long ago. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was a paradigm shifting experience. And there's something I'd like to share with you that Shakti said. Creative visualization is magic in the truest and highest meaning of the word. It involves understanding and aligning yourself with the natural principles that govern the workings of our universe and learning to use these principles in the most conscious and creative way. 40 years ago, that was mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely grounded.
Yes,
yeah.
To understand that I was creating my experience, my universe, the things that I experienced not having, mm-hmm. and how to counteract that. And so the book is filled with exercises that you can do, filled with affirmations. But this truly was the start for me of understanding that if I didn't like the way my world was unfolding in front of me, I had the power to change it. Mm-hmm. And back in those days, that was not something that was being discussed. We didn't talk about the universe with a capital U the way that we do now. And so this book was a revelation in many different ways for me.
And did you immediately begin to implement it?
Oh, yes.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember what one of the first things you did was from this book?
Honestly, I don't. I know I spent a lot of time with the affirmations, and there is, in fact, one thing in here that I realized upon rereading this book, because it had been a long time since I had picked it up the first time, that I have done for many years for myself and have taught others to do something that Shakti Gawain encourages you to do, and that is to create your own sanctuary. And I have a meditation that I have offered many, many women that walks them through how to do that. So when you create sanctuary in your mind, it's totally safe. No one can get into that space, unless, of course, you invite them in on an energetic level. And I had a client many years ago who I took her through this meditation, and I believe at the time she was probably in her late 30s. She'd had some difficulties in her life, haven't we all? But when we finished, and I brought her back out of the meditative state, she opened her eyes and she looked at me and she said, "That's the first time in my life I've ever felt safe."
Wow.
And I thought, oh my goodness, how can this be the first time? You know? So hugely powerful. I know for myself, my sanctuary has changed over the years, as it has needed to, because of course I've changed. So things come, they disappear, they come back in a different way. And it's a way to connect with your highest self, with your inner wisdom, and it is a way to understand how to shift the way you think about what you experience in this world out here.
I'm totally fascinated. Is there more that you can explain about, say, because my mind is instantly going to, I'm decorating my sanctuary.
You're totally allowed to do that. It's your space. I will say that when I start the meditation with people, I have them close their eyes and imagine that they step out their front door, and across the street is a beautiful park. And as they cross to the park, everything behind them sort of disappears. And then as they walk through the park and they're listening to the sounds of animals, birds, squirrels running around, maybe there are dogs in the park, the laughter of children, voices murmuring, conversations. But you're walking towards a stand of trees, and as you get to the tree line, that set of sounds begins to disappear behind you. And you go through the trees and you begin to enter the space that becomes your sanctuary. I'm not going to say anything more about it because it's a 12.5-minute meditation. Absolutely. But that's the beginning.
Yeah, and it sounds to me like you're taking someone into deeper levels
Yes.
of a type of hypnosis almost.
Well, almost. And for people who have never done any kind of guided visualization, excuse me, it's very slow and gentle. Because many people are frightened by what they think they're going to find if they look inside.
Yes.
They're living surface lives. Don't wake me up. Don't tell me anything that's going to upset me. But they're missing the richness that is there for them. And so, your immediate instinct is to go decorate your space, which is awesome. When I first experienced my sanctuary, I don't recall there being any kind of a building in it. The constants have been a pond, a very large flat rock that is always warmed by the sun, and so I love lying on that rock. And then over the years, as I say, things have come and gone. A building appeared at one point, but I don't think I went in it for years. It was there.
Yeah.
And so sometimes what happens is, as you become comfortable with the space, as you trust that you are safe, that you can create anything you want in this space, you're starting to use those muscles that will allow you to create in the outer world.
Right. Oh, that's fascinating. It's interesting to me as I'm listening to you, I thought, I instantly went into the darkness and started lighting candles. So
but you're a light worker, so.
Well, there you are. That's a good way of, I didn't think of that, but I was just thinking, I wonder why the dark. But anyway, There's an affirmation in here that you
Oh,
mentioned
yes.
to me that I'd love to have you read.
Yes. This is one that is really powerful. And it doesn't matter, we're going to use the name God here. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter if you have a religious belief. We're talking about the overriding spirit, that unknown that we come from. And so this affirmation is, the light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God flows through me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. And Louise Hay, who was the founder of Hay House and who recently passed away, she had something very similar to that she used as an affirmation. And I'm paraphrasing here, but I believe it is, where I am in the universe, all is perfect, whole, and complete. And that is true, but we don't believe it to be true, most of us. So it's a learning process, and so visualization is practicing. We can do it in here first, where it's safe, nobody sees what we're doing, or if we mess it up, but you can't mess it up. So, but it's practice. And so once you get comfortable practicing manifesting in your own mind, then you can start saying, well, gee, you know, I'd really like to manifest. I used to make my mother crazy because we'd be out driving somewhere and she'd say, oh, we're never going to get a parking space near the door. And I'd say, keep going, keep going. And 3 from the driveway, there would be an empty space.
Yeah.
She'd look at me and say, how do you do that? I expect it to be there. I've called it into being for us.
Yes.
In those days, I wasn't driving. So that's very simple. But, you know, I've heard of people saying, I want to manifest a coffee. And out of the blue, someone calls them up and says, hey, let's go for a coffee. I haven't seen you for a while. So when you start with little things that we believe we can actually manifest,
Yeah.
and they do, then we start to be encouraged to try bigger things. And as I say, it is a practice. It's something that we need to do on a regular basis. And it's a beautiful book. It doesn't take long to read. And there are affirmations for all different kinds of circumstances.
Right. Well, it truly is a beautiful book, Creative Visualization. And we're going to take a break just now and come back to my guest, Patti Smith. So go freshen up your tea and we'll see you in just a minute. Thanks for watching. to Epiphanies. I'm here today with my guest, Patti Smith, and we've been talking about Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. And it's an absolutely fabulous book. I highly recommend it. And of course, just going to mention my sponsor, Bell Book and Kindle. They have tremendous books there, so they have everything you need. So Patti.
Yes.
Tell me about who you be in the world.
I love answering that question now. It used to confuse me years ago because being is so much more important than doing.
Absolutely.
We are human beings first. I am and have always considered myself to be two things. First, a teacher, and secondly, a light bearer. In fact, when I was younger and I was filling out the application for my first passport and I came to occupation, I really, really wanted to put light worker or light bearer, and then I thought, no, they're not going to let me do that. So I put the real job down. But I've always had a sense of myself as having a big purpose, and also known for a very long time that that purpose was around educating and empowering women. We are socialized so differently around money, business, and success than men are. And we have a horrible handicap that, you know, has been the result of, well, I call it a millennia-long conspiracy to keep us subservient, disenfranchised, disempowered, occupied with busy work so that we don't, you know, try and find our way forward. And one of the reasons that Shakti's book carried such weight for me was the fact that it was a woman who had written it. There are many books that came out around that era and subsequently that were written by men, and they're wonderful men, don't get me wrong, but the woman's voice needed to be brought forward. And so one of the things that I have known about myself all my life is I'm the voice for the underdog.
Okay, I like that.
Having been one myself. Excuse me, when I was younger, I was teased mercilessly all through public school and even into high school, and had experiences in my first job of sexual harassment on the job, sexual discrimination in employment opportunity, gender inequality in pay. So I began to understand that giving women their voice and empowering them to stand up and say, no, you don't get to do that anymore.
Right.
To have that confidence, that was what I was here to do.
Yeah, yeah. That's fabulous, utterly fabulous. And what tools do you use to do that?
Oh, we need a much longer show for that. I like to say to my clients or prospective clients, I have a very large toolkit. I've been working with energy for a very long time. I have studied Reiki. I have also studied a couple of other modalities. New decision therapy is one. I was certified in 1997 by the founder, Dr. Candace Blakely. And this is, you'll hear many people refer to it as a forgiveness program. What it really is, and forgiveness is a large part of it, but what it really is was Candace's understanding that we hold drama and trauma at the cellular level. And if we don't clear it out of our bodies, this is the foundation of disease, which if you break that apart is dis-ease.
Right.
And so her technique, new decision therapy, helps us get to what she called that last straw incident safely in present time. There's no hypnosis involved. I'm simply the guide and catalyst to help the person move through from having made an unconscious decision at some point in their life as a result of what was said or done to them, to now forgiving and releasing that and making a new conscious decision about how they're going to live their lives without that baggage dragging them down anymore.
Right.
And I've seen incredible changes for my clients over the years. Another thing that I use is Access the Bars from Access Consciousness. And that's a touch therapy where there are 32 points on the head that when the practitioner's fingers are there, they create an energetic bar through the two hemispheres of the brain. But I'm very good at intuitively reading the energy of the person I'm working with. And so I will often say, I'm having trouble with this part of your body, and have a sense of what age they injured that part of their body. And when I first started doing it years ago, I kind of questioned, well, how do I know that? I don't worry about that anymore. I ask questions about what I'm being shown. And then we are able to start removing not only the physical blocks, but the emotional, spiritual, and mental blocks, and help people transform those limiting beliefs so that they can go out and have the success that they deserve to have without gunk.
Now, how do you translate that into the Awesome Wealthy Woman International piece that you do? Because I know I've been privileged to be at a couple of your workshops, and
Yes.
they're amazing.
Yes.
So
Awesome assistant here.
So how does that translate, the physical work that you're doing, or
Yes.
the energetic work that you're doing, and then move it into the money aspect?
Well, my corporate background was in human resources and corporate law. So I understand the nuts and bolts of business. And as I said, women have been socialized very differently about business. They will take longer to research whatever it is they're going to start before they actually go out to do it. They undersell themselves continually and over-deliver, and then sometimes burn themselves out and their business goes poof. They are reticent about seeking funding from a bank or other male-dominated institution, because the first thing they usually get told is, well, if you get your husband to come in and co-sign. So there are too many hurdles that have been put in place. So what I do is I marry the metaphysical and the spiritual with a pragmatic understanding of how business works. So if, for instance, a woman comes to me and says, I want to start a business, I've got an idea for a business, still in the JOB, that's my safety net. Great, let's sit down and talk about what is the vision that you have for this business, what are you going to be doing, who is it for, where do you imagine that you're going to do this? Are you going to do it in person? Are you going to do it through a bricks and mortar store? Are you going to do it online? So all the stuff that has to happen in the background, getting the correct name and insurance and all of the, the administrivia stuff that entrepreneurs never want to deal with because they just want to go do what they do. But there's so many programs out there and so many people waving their flag and saying, oh, I have a 13-step program, yada, yada. Well, I would rather take someone and give them a good solid foundation in 12 sessions and say, here's the critical stuff you need to do first. Here's what phase 2 can look like. Here's what phase 3 can look like. And get them started, so that I've had clients go in 12 sessions from in the JOB with the idea to business name registered, domain name registered, website up, insurance all in place, and 2 to 3 clients already on the books. And when you think about it, that's a very fast trajectory, much faster than what people usually experience. So for me, I love working with these women who are taking that step out in faith. Because they have something special to share. And the thing that I also do, which sets me apart from other business coaches, is I talk about conscious business. And as you mentioned in my bio, Awesome Wealthy Woman International is a very proud official business sponsor of the Because I Am a Girl project, and that provides education, food, medical care, and some funding and training for women and girls in 70 countries around the world.
That's fabulous.
And yes, and I've been a foster parent myself for 20 years, 20 years this year. So it's important for me to, particularly the education piece, because there was actually something just posted by Plan International. For every year that a girl can stay in school, her earning power goes up 20%.
Wow, that's incredible.
And so many of these girls around the world are either pulled out of school because they have to go work in the fields or in a store or whatever to support the family, or they never get to school in the first place.
Right.
So my focus has always been women and girls.
Yeah. Getting an education.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons, too, why I agreed to be a co-author of the book, which, may I show it?
Yes, absolutely, please. I was trying to get there. Show the book.
It's called The Art of Unlearning. And this is so apropos because as women, as I say, we've been taught so many things that are false. We have to go through this process of unlearning and then learning anew. And so there's myself and 9 other authors, and I'm very proud to say that we have been able to get this book to #1 on Amazon as a bestseller. And the reason I'm really proud to say that is that we all agreed that we would not receive royalties from this book.
Very cool.
The proceeds go to kiva.org.
I belong to Kiva. I've
Yes.
got 3 loans going now.
So for people who don't know, Kiva is an organization that provides, in some cases, very small microloans to women around the world to either start or grow their business. And it is a loan, it is not a gift. So they work and they repay it, and then that money can be sent out somewhere else. So you can do as little as $25, you can fund a whole project. It's a fabulous, fabulous organization. So again, like the work that I do with Plan International, it's a way to give back, but it's not giving back, it's paying it forward.
Paying it forward, yes.
Getting the next group of women and girls ready to take their full place on the world stage.
I'd like to know, you kind of already answered it, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Can you share with us an epiphany that you've had throughout your life or during your life?
Yes. The epiphany really does come from Shakti Gawain's book, and it was understanding that I truly do have the power to create anything I want in my life. And the biggest example of that has been this year, in fact. As you know, I started the year with my left wrist in a cast. And, so that was great at Christmas time, extended holiday, but then I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do about clients in the new year? And I just decided I was not going to worry about it. I was going to trust that I would be taken care of. And in fact, I had contact from someone the very first business day of the new year who had known me for years but never worked with me, saying, hey, I want to come and work with you. And I said, great, when would you like to do that? Tomorrow. Okay. And out of that also flowed opportunities to be on, international radio shows and other things that have happened that have just been amazing. So when you trust, you can manifest, but you don't figure out the how, because we always want to know how.
Yes.
Just let it come.
Just let it come.
Just let it come.
Patti, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom and all your experience with me. I really appreciate it. And our viewers, thank you for joining us here on Epiphanies, and I do hope that you'll come back again next week for the next guest. But Patti, it's just been such a delight. So thank you, viewers, and thank you, Patti.
Thank you, Jessie. It's been wonderful.